So now we're going to look at the metric measurements for volume and capacity. We just looked at English, now we'll look at metric. So metric units of volume, the most typical ones that you'll see are cubic centimeters, also called cc's, especially when dealing with medications and stuff. You'll see cc's for cubic centimeters, but I'll try to use the abbreviation cm cubed. Decimeters, cubic decimeters and cubic meters. Okay, we're not going to look at cubic kilometers because that's enormous. That'd be like how much dirt is in the earth or something like that. So I'm not going to worry too much about those, but these are our three most commonly used measures of volume. And of course, with the metric system, you know, you could use cubic hectometers or cubic decameters or cubic millimeters. Actually, cubic millimeters is another one. I should actually have that up here. I don't know why I didn't. Millimeters cubed. That does show up quite a bit, especially with medicines, medications. So cubic millimeters, it's small, but they are out there. So anyway, okay, so those are our units of volume. Units of capacity, we look at liters, milliliters, kiloliters. Of course, when you're looking at these, you've got 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter and 1,000 liters in 1 kiloliter. Okay, so you have, you know, times 1,000 to go that way. Oops, 1,000, and times 1,000 to go that way. Now, of course, there are others. There's centiliters is 100 centiliters makes up a liter, or there's you know, deciliters or decaliters, or all, you know, all these hectoliters. There's all these other conversions like we've seen before, but I think these are the three most commonly used capacities that we're going to deal with anyway. So that being said, let's look at, and there's one other thing to note. Now this is, you know, kind of interesting to me. The conversions here, these are really cool because if you remember the conversions in the lengths, right? 1 decimeter is 10 centimeters, right? And 1 meter is 10 decimeters, you know, those sorts of conversions. Well, when you cube them to get volume units, you cube the 10, right? The powers of 10, so you get 1,000. So 1,000 cubic centimeters makes up 1 cubic decimeter, and it'll turn out that 1,000 cubic decimeters makes up 1 cubic meter, right? So anything that's differs by 10 in the length will differ by 1,000 in the volume, okay? So now if I were to go over here and look at the conversions between volume and capacity, they define these very nicely. 1 cubic centimeter is 1 milliliter, okay? So they just coincide very nicely. If you multiply each of those by 1,000, you have 1 liter is then equal to 1,000 cubic centimeters. But didn't we just see that? 1,000 cubic centimeters is 1 cubic decimeter, right? So that is actually equal to 1 cubic decimeter as well. Those are equivalent to each other. And then again, if you multiply by 1,000, and of course you do that on both sides, you get a kiloliter, which is a cubic meter, right? 1,000 of the cubic decimeters is a cubic meter, like I had mentioned a minute ago. So that's just kind of neat, the way those pop out. Now we also have some conversions between English and metric capacities, which is another interesting thing to look at, especially when we're looking at medication dosages. My kids were actually recently sick, and I was giving them, you know, cold medicine or whatever, and the dosage on the bottle says, you know, for kids 2 to 6 or whatever, give them you know, 1 teaspoon. And like 1 teaspoon, you look at the cup that comes with it, it's got everything in milliliters. It's like, well, that doesn't help me out. But the conversion between teaspoons and milliliters is 1 teaspoon is 5 milliliters, and so you can actually get that. You can figure that out pretty quickly, approximately 5 milliliters. So, so the conversions from, you know, between metric and English is that 1 teaspoon, and a teaspoon is a English capacity that I haven't really mentioned before. We'll talk about the conversions between teaspoons, tablespoons, and cups here in just a minute, or ounces, sorry. Teaspoons, tablespoons, and ounces in just a moment. So 1 teaspoon is approximately 5 milliliters. That's a very useful conversion to know, especially if you have kids and you got to give cold medicine, right? Or their teeth are coming in and you got to give them some painkillers. So that's a nice one. Also, a tablespoon is approximately 15 milliliters. Okay. And teaspoon, the abbreviation is TSP. That's really important to know the abbreviation, and I hate that these abbreviations are actually very similar. Teaspoon is TSP, tablespoon is TBSP, right? Tablespoon. Why they made them so close to each other, I don't know. But when you're looking at making doing recipes, baking or whatever, putting in spices into some sort of dish, these are interesting. These can be good conversions to recall and use as well. So, but teaspoons, tablespoons, and then what's interesting is that since you're multiplying by 3 here to go from 5 to 15, there's going to be 3 teaspoons in a tablespoon, right? So that's a times 3, right? Times 3 on both sides to get that. Also, 1 ounce, 1 fluid ounce, is approximately 30 milliliters, and so that's a multiplication of 2. So you get 2 tablespoons in an ounce. And we've already seen that you get 8 ounces in a cup, right? So if 8 ounces are in a cup, 2 tablespoons in an ounce, that's 16 tablespoons in a cup. And times 3 would give you what, 48 teaspoons in a cup, I guess. If you're sitting there tipping teaspoons into your teaspoons of coffee into your coffee mug, I guess it'd take 48 of them to get your mug full. I don't know. Anyway, just some interesting conversions that kind of result from seeing this pop out. So anyway, those are your small ones. Those are good. Those are more useful for, I'd say, medications and baking and stuff like that. Then you also have larger conversions. You've got cups. So 1 cup is approximately equal to 0.24 liters. And a lot of these, these are going to be given to you on a test. So we'll have some tables, and I'll discuss what's given and what has to be known in a later video when I come. I'll do a test 2 summary kind of video. But at this point, some of these things are going to be given to you in a table, a big conversion table, and some of them you may have to fill in out of memory. We'll see on that one, but I'll let you know what you need to know and what's going to be given. So anyway, just keep that in mind. So and also all of these tables are in your textbook, your ebook on My Math Lab. I know some of you weren't sure where your ebook is, but if you go into My Math Lab over on the left toolbar, I guess, there should be one that says e-text or ebook. I think it's e-text actually, and that's where your textbook is. All of these conversion tables are in there in chapter 9 on measurements that we're looking at here, so you can find them in there. Anyway, so I'm not expecting you to memorize all of these things. You can use those conversions. You can also throw these in Google, right? You can Google them, and they'll all show up. So, so we got 1 cup. We got 1 pint. Is approximately, let's see, 0.47 liters. Right, there's, how many cups are in a pint? 16 cups in a gallon. Cut it in 4 to a quart. Two cups in a pint, right? Yeah, so it's got to be double that. Now it's 0.48 would be double, but those are rounded off, so it must be a little lower than 0.48. 0.24 to get there. So anyway, yeah, I'm just trying to think through why these, well, how these are linking together. You got a quart, which is going to be double, right? A quart is 2 pints, so it's got to be double that number, which is about 0.95, really 0.97. I'm sorry, 0.94 would be exactly double, but again, these are all rounded off. So when you leave the decimals and round at the end, this is what you come up with. A little bit of an error there. And then, of course, 1 gallon is for the quarts. So it's going to be almost 4 liters, right? This is almost 1 liter. A gallon is going to be almost 4 liters. It's actually 3.8. So approximately 3.8 liters. Okay. So anyway, those are some nice conversions. And the ones that are really, really useful here going to be the quart to liter, because you can see 1 quart is nearly 1 liter. They almost coincide. So that's really important there. And in fact, somewhere in here, there's another conversion between those, I thought, but maybe not. Huh. Okay, I was thinking it gave you, liters are, 1 liter is how many quarts, but I guess this is the conversion I was thinking of probably. So that one's going to be pretty important. A quart and a liter are almost 1 to 1. Okay, very close. 0.95 to 1, 95% of a liter. So those are some cool conversions. And then of course, if you're looking to figure out, if the label on your kid's medicine says give them 10 milliliters and all you have are tablespoons, right? So 10 milliliters, you want to convert to tablespoons. Well, we know 5 milliliters is equal to 1 tablespoon, or teaspoon. Gosh, ooh, that's terrible. I was saying tablespoon, wasn't I? I meant teaspoon. All you have are well, let's say all you have are tablespoons. What are you going to get? Well, you convert to 10 milliliters. I wouldn't want to go to 5, would I? I don't know. Was I saying tablespoon or teaspoon? I should go back in the video and watch, but I can't because I'm in the video right now. That's weird. So 10 milliliters. What was I saying? Let's go tablespoons. I don't know. Let's go tablespoons. So it's 15 milliliters in 1 tablespoon. That'll work. So then you divide it out. The milliliters cancel. 10 over 15 is 2/3, right? So that's 10 over 15 reduces, divided both by 5, so you get 2/3 of a tablespoon. Okay, doesn't come out evenly there, but that's okay. Or it does, but not to a whole number. But anyway, if we wanted teaspoons, it's 2 teaspoons, whatever if you do that calculation. So I don't know what I started out with. But anyway, so it's all dimensional analysis from there. Once you get these conversion tables figured out, it's all about setting these up as your unit fractions, right? So if you needed to convert from, let's say, milliliters to cups, well, go milliliters to liters, or milliliters to ounces and then ounces to cups. So you can do something like that. So sometimes you need a middleman in there, or two, to go from one to the other. But these are our conversions. These are nice conversions. If you needed to go from milliliters to liters, you could do, or milliliters to cups, you can go milliliters times 1,000 to get 1,000 milliliters is a liter, and then go over to cups with the 0.24. Those are some ways to do that. So there's a variety of different paths you could take because a lot of these do correspond. There's not one set way to do this. So anyway, just know that if you need some of these values, most of these are going to be given to you on a test because I'm not going to expect you to remember 30 different conversions like we've been seeing. But there's a few fundamental ones that I would like you to know, like feet to inches. Okay.